I will say this, and I think it'll surprise people. The fact that his bond...
Hold on. Sir.
What's
I have to stop you with the camera because I can see you. So do me a favor, don't pull it out again. It's not about winning over people. It's about telling as much of the truth as we...
The studio buzzed with the energy, the crowd humming, the hosts launching into the day's hottest topics. Another fiery morning on the View Bright Lights set. Everything was rolling exactly as planned. Sharp debates, quick-witted exchanges, cameras capturing every spark. And then it happened. Something shifted. The tension wasn't obvious at first, but it crept in quietly. While the panel kept the conversation moving, one host noticed something off in the audience. The smooth rhythm of the show cracked, sudden and sharp, like glass shattering mid-scene. She froze mid-sentence, eyes drifting from the panel to a darkened corner beyond the stage lights. Narrowing her gaze, she caught it, a faint flash among the rows of faces, a small screen, someone recording, quick, sneaky, and entirely out of place.
And as you are stunned, so are we.
You should be angry. And, you know, I will say this, and I think it'll surprise people. The fact that his bond...
Everyone knew the rules. No outside recording during live tapings. The policy was strict, clear, and repeated before every show, yet someone decided to ignore it, phone angled toward the stage as though the set belonged to them. And then came the moment. The host brought the entire production to a standstill. Her voice sliced through the chatter, sharp, commanding, and the room went still. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us grow and bring you even more gripping tales. Now, back to it. Though her words were calm, the delivery carried weight. Put the camera down. Don't raise it again. The audience froze, caught between shock and disbelief. This wasn't scripted, it wasn't rehearsed, and it definitely wasn't part of the plan.
I have to stop you with the camera because I can see you. So do me a favor, don't pull it out again. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. What was he doing? Recording. Oh.
I like to be as surprised as you all are when I come back.
Tension clung to the air like a silent warning. Just minutes earlier, Sunny Hostin had been passionately unpacking Donald Trump's latest legal battles, her words charged with the trademark intensity the show is known for. But the interruption hit like an alarm bell, instantly dousing that fire. The spotlight was no longer on the debate. It was on the host who had brought the broadcast to an abrupt halt. The chatter stopped. The laughter died. Sunny froze mid-sentence, her unfinished words dangling in the air, confusion flashing across her face as she realized what had happened. In the crowd, the culprit sat red-faced as if every stage light had turned on them alone. Around them, the audience shifted nervously. Some gasped, others leaned forward, not wanting to miss a single beat of what might unfold next. The bubbly morning show vibe evaporated, replaced by something heavier. It felt less like television and more like a courtroom, everyone holding their breath for the verdict. And then it came. The host's words cut through the silence like a razor. Please, don't take it out again. That was it. Short, sharp, and final. Final, no raised voice, but her tone left no room for negotiation. For a moment, the studio seemed frozen in time. The cameras rolled, the lights blazed, but no one dared to move. Then, almost in unison, the crowd eased back into their seats as though a spell had been broken. A few nervous chuckles bubbled up, unsure, tentative, testing the boundaries of whether laughter was even allowed. The energy hadn't fully returned, but the host gave a small nod, thanked the individual, and turned back to the table. The panel, still stunned, exchanged glances. Their usual rhythm was broken, the shock of what had just happened lingering like static in the air. It wasn't just about one audience member breaking the rules, it was about how quickly she spotted it and how seamlessly she took control. She reacted with the ease of someone who had done it 100 times before. No producer rushing to cut to commercial, no security team swooping in. Just her, standing her ground in front of millions, live on air. The crowd had come expecting fiery debates, maybe a heated clash or two over politics. What they got instead was something far more unfiltered, a stark reminder that on live television, absolutely anything can happen. And the way she slipped right back into the conversation as if nothing had happened only magnified the shock. Everyone knew it had. The host looked slightly rattled, the audience wide-eyed, the air still buzzing with adrenaline from the sudden break. This wasn't a minor hiccup. It was a full stop, proof of how instantly she could switch from composed to commanding. The irony, it unfolded during the show's Hot Topics segment, famous for bold opinions and spirited sparring. Viewers tune in for biting commentary, not to watch someone get publicly scolded for breaking rules. That contrast made the moment land even harder. And while the panel tried to pick up the discussion on Trump's legal troubles, the words fell flat, like faint static in the background. Nobody was listening. Every eye was still locked on the host who had just stopped the entire show with a single stern command. It wasn't just a warning. The room felt it. This was a display of power. And the truth was clear. This wasn't the first time she'd claimed authority in exactly that way.
We do cover climate. Ladies, excuse us. Let us do our job.
She has a reputation for shutting down chaos the moment it sparks, and longtime viewers know it well. One of the most infamous examples came during a live interview with Senator Ted Cruz back in 2022. At first, everything was running smoothly. The hosts fired off pointed questions, Cruz responded with practiced confidence, and the panel seemed ready for a lively exchange. Then it happened. A sudden eruption from the audience. Protesters leapt to their feet, shouting about climate change. Their chants weren't just noise, they were deafening, relentless, and quickly overpowered Cruz's voice. The co-host looked rattled, unsure of how to manage the disruption. Cruz himself tried to push on, raising his voice over the uproar, but his words were swallowed whole by the shouts. And that's when she stepped in.
The United States inflation has one cause and one cause only. It's just last year the federal government took in $4 trillion in tax revenue. It's the most money in history we've ever taken in. The problem is we spent near...
Her words cut clean through the chaos like a blade. Excuse us, ladies, let's get on with our work. That was it. No yelling, no back and forth, no theatrics, just a calm, commanding directive. And suddenly the noise that had hijacked the room evaporated. Within seconds, the protesters backed down and the set shifted from frenzy to order, like she had flicked a hidden switch. And that very same steel was on display again today. The audience knew it. The panel felt it. The authority wasn't in how loud she spoke, but in how impossible it was to ignore her.
We do cover climate. Ladies, excuse us. Let us do our job. Let us do our job. We hear what you have to say, but you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta let us do our job.
They weren't even protesting you.
You gotta let us do our job.
That day, everyone realized something bigger. When the room spirals, she doesn't look around for backup. She is the backup. Even Ted Cruz, a man used to loud debates, froze mid-sentence, watching as security removed the protesters. The irony was sharp. He'd been trying to talk about spending and taxes, but his words never landed because the chants about climate and inflation drowned him out. The noise wasn't background static. It was a full-on takeover attempt, but she didn't flinch. She rose, steady as ever, and with the same calm tone, repeated her boundary. The panel had a job to do, and the disruption had to end. No shouting, no panic, just presence. And within seconds, the air snapped back into place. Heavy, silent, orderly. That's what made it unforgettable. She didn't just rescue the conversation. She shielded her team, reclaimed the stage, and reminded everyone in that studio who really set the rules. Then the same force was felt again today, whether it was a swarm of protesters or just one glowing phone in the crowd. The energy was identical. Swift, decisive authority.
It's not about winning over people. It's about telling as much of the truth as we have.
Exactly. She reframed the moment as bigger than herself. It wasn't about flexing authority for the sake of attention. She made it clear. The disruption didn't just rattle the host, it jeopardized the invisible work of the entire crew. The camera operators, the producers, the people whose names the audience rarely hears but who make the show flow. In her own words, she acknowledged that voices matter and there's a time and place for them, but hijacking live television isn't it. That distinction landed hard. She wasn't angry, she was resolute, setting the kind of boundary that felt less like a personal rebuke and more like a house rule everyone was expected to respect. And then she did the most striking thing of all. She didn't linger. No gloating, no extended lecture. She shut it down, reset the stage, and slipped back into the rhythm as if the whole interruption were nothing more than a glitch. That's why moments like these resonate. They aren't about silencing people. They're about defending the shared space where stories are told, debates unfold, and the crew's unseen labor holds everything together. It's not just order she restores. It's respect for the craft of live television itself. Would you like me to expand this into a sharper closing, almost like a moral takeaway that leaves the reader reflecting on the bigger meaning of her authority?
We can have as much fun with a subject like that as we can, but at the same time, reminding people that, great things are happening. Not everything everybody wants at the same time is happening, and we're all benefiting. We're all benefiting. The key is to get people in who actually want to benefit the country. If we can do that, we can still have arguments and fights because nobody's going to do it the way that everybody wants it done, but we'll have better standing ground because it's not about your race, it's not about your gender, it's about what's best for the country.
This is a beautiful layering of her public and private personas and the steel and the softness. What stands out most is that she doesn't cling to authority as a badge of power. She uses it in the moment it's needed, then discards it the way someone hangs up a coat at the door. One minute, she's cutting through chaos with surgical precision. The next, she's laughing about her cat. That pivot isn't just charming, it's grounding. It tells the audience, I can handle the storm, but I don't live in it. And that resilience hasn't been conjured overnight. Nearly 2 decades in front of the cameras have forged it. She's seen the highs, applause, admiration, viral praise, and the lows, the headlines twisting her words, crowds booing so loudly the panel had to pause. What could have broken someone else has only tempered her. Each outburst, each misunderstanding, each hostile debate has become another layer of armor. But here's the secret. She doesn't wear that armor to block connection. She wears it to protect her ability to stay authentic, to speak plainly, even when it ruffles feathers, to hold her ground without spiraling into defensiveness. So when chaos strikes, what you see on stage isn't just composure. It's the product of years of being tested, of learning that the world will always swing between applause and criticism. And when the lights go down, she reminds everyone, and herself included, that she's still just a person, feeding her cat, carrying on. Would you like me to shape this into a strong, reflective ending, something that ties her composure and humanity together as the lasting impression? She isn't in the business of confrontation, nor is she in the business of praise. She speaks with the weight of someone who has long accepted the truth. You can't please everyone, so why try? What matters is staying rooted in her own truth. That's why the phone incident didn't rattle her. She's weathered bigger storms. She thrives in the center of chaos, not because she seeks it, but because she refuses to flinch when it arrives. 17 years at that table have taught her the show's real purpose. It was never about winning over critics or turning the set into a popularity contest. For her, it has always been about something deeper, using that platform to be honest, even when honesty stings, to remind viewers that the world is still filled with moments of good, even when the headlines don't show them, to balance hard truths with humor, and to make difficult topics accessible without sugarcoating them. Her aim isn't comfort, it's authenticity. She welcomes disagreement, not because she craves drama, but because she believes that real progress comes from clashing perspectives. She doesn't care whose voice it is, man, woman, left, right, whatever label the world slaps on it. If the intention is genuine, the voice deserves space. She knows no leader can satisfy everyone, and that's fine. What matters is keeping the conversation alive, letting those who truly care step into it. That's why she stopped the phone cold, not to flex, not to grandstand, but to protect the space where those conversations happen. So yes, she'll keep standing in the fire without blinking, not for the applause, not for the headlines, but because in a world built on noise, someone has to insist on truth. And if you've been with us this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Until the next story.